Well, I have a newborn baby, so if I get 3-4 hours in a row, I'm happy. But before that, it would be a good 7 hours, I'd say, definitely.
A day? No, probably about 8 hours.
Normally around eight hours.
Definitely at least 8 hours.
I would say I would need about 7 hours to feel fully refreshed, but to function at least about 6 hours.
About 7 hours.
Probably about 5 hours is probably what I get usually, and I can feel good after that.
I don't really know, it varies quite a lot, and I just tend to go to bed too late, so I often get about 6 hours, I guess, but I sometimes have a bit of a nap later in the day.
7 hours.
Probably about 6 to be fair, but I rarely get it.
Normally a good 8 hours, if possible. But as a father of 3 small children, it's probably nearer to 5 or 6 that I'm now used to living on after a few years, especially at the moment with an 18-month-old child. So.
Shoppers in Rochester there, but what do you think? Do you get enough sleep? You can join the debate by using the hashtag KentSays on social media. Well, to talk a little bit more about this, I'm joined by KTV's health expert, Dr Julian Spinks. Now, Julian, I can definitely tell you I don't get enough sleep. I have 3 or 4 days where I have 5 or 6 hours because I've got small children, and then I crash, and it definitely affects me. What about patients? Do they come in and do they talk about this to you as a real problem?
It's a very frequent thing for people to come in with insomnia or other sleep problems because it does affect you dramatically. We do need a certain amount of sleep. They say typically around 8 hours per night, although it does vary. And if you don't do that, then the quality of your life goes down. You're more likely to be depressed. During the day you get sleepiness as well. Trying to be in very boring meetings and stay awake gets more difficult. So it is a big impact. And one of the difficulties we have is that we have limited things we can do to help people, but it's still worth coming along and asking.
So at what point do you think people should come along and speak to you? When should they think, gosh, this is really starting to affect my life?
I think if you're getting to the point where every single day you feel tired most of the day, so you're not sleeping at night, you're sleeping during the day, or you just feel that you've got to sleep, then it may be worth along coming and discussing things. We're going to start with non-drug treatments, non-fancy things. We're going to advise you about making sure that you get good sleep hygiene. In other words, that the room is not too hot and cold, that you have a consistent pattern, going to bed at the right time at night, getting up around the same time. Ironically, the sleep in isn't necessarily a good friend, although I know from the days when I used to do on-call, sometimes it's the only thing you can do.
And it's really important to come in, though, and speak to a doctor, because fatigue can be a symptom of lots of things, can't it?
Well, yes, the other concern is we have a rising number of people with sleep apnea. This is a problem where people suddenly stop breathing during the night and then they half wake up. They may not be aware of it, but effectively they're not getting the quality of sleep. And that is sufficient of a problem that, in fact, if you have that uncontrolled, then you may not be able to drive. You have to report to the DVLA that you have that.
And do you think that these figures, the 8,000 number, is that surprising to you, that that's how many people are being seen?
It doesn't surprise me, and that's only one of the 2 sleep centres in Kent. It reflects particularly the rise in sleep apnea because it's affected by people who have excessive weight tend to get this more often, and so as we have a more obese population, more people are coming forward. It also reflects the fact that until recently we haven't had many centres to treat it with.